What's up, boys? It's UFC 295 fight week this week. Cool big pay per view going on this weekend. Obviously, um, we've heard the news that John Jones versus Miocic wasn't going to happen a few days ago, and they've replaced it with Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall in a co-main event. For the casuals, this pay per view might have lost a bit of hype. Less people are going to talk about it just because John Jones isn't there. Stipe Miocic is also a big name, but I think that's what I was going to say for the hardcore fans. That fight with Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall is just probably even better. It's just more interesting to watch. A lot of people have said, whenever that John Jones versus Miocic fight was going to, was going to happen and it was booked, a lot of people were like, useless fight. Kind of where we know what they're doing, just putting two legends together, but are they actually the baddest? Those two right there are the baddest, and we know that for sure. And I think that is the next heavyweight champion, whoever wins this fight. So I'm gonna go through this pay-per-view card. I shouldn't say this, all right? I'll take that back. I shouldn't say they're the baddest right now, but I think they have the most chances to be the baddest in the future, at least. I just think I should rephrase. I should say they're the biggest challenge right now. Miocic is not the biggest challenge for John Jones, and that I think most people would agree. Either Pavlovich or Tom Aspinall is the biggest challenge. So I'm glad we're gonna figure that out this weekend. So I'm gonna start as usual. We do the main card predictions. I'm gonna go over the first fights of the main card, which is Diego Lopes versus Pat Sabatini. Diego Lopes, I've seen. He's the one who had that amazing um, he had a great submissions, like I think it was a leg lock or something like that. And there was a cool picture going on Instagram of him, and I saw that picture. It was just a cool picture. And Pat Sabatini, I had never heard of him, so I went and watched some of his old fights. Pat Sabatini, when I went and rewatched some of his fight, he seemed a bit scared to strike. You know what I mean? He got KO'd in 2 fights ago. He got KO'd like early, pretty early against Damon Jackson. And then in his next fight against Almeida, I went and rewatched it. The first 2 rounds, right? He didn't even want to strike for 10 seconds, barely. He shot for the takedowns right away, and you can tell, he really wants to do his work on the ground. And I think Lopes is also a very good grappler. You've seen him, find very, very great submissions. So I'm not sure whether I want to go Lopes by TKO or Lopes by submission, but I had written TKO here in my notepad, but I think I'm going to go by submission. I'm going to go Lopes by submission in the second round. I do feel Sabatini is going to try to shoot for takedowns, and Lopes with his grappling skill is going to be able to defend and even find some submission later in the second round, maybe whenever Sabatini gets a bit more tired. So that's what I think is going to happen. Mostly it's probably going to be more of a grappling fight. So as we move on, we go to a lightweight fight between Matt Frevola versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis, I think he fought on the Cyril Gane no, it was not a pay-per-view. It was the France Paris, the Paris card. So I went and rewatched some of his fight as well against Thiago Moises. It was a great fight. Benoit Saint-Denis is kind of like a very tough. He's a tough dude, and he's never gotten finished. He got only one loss, and it was by decision. So he's never gotten finished. And like I said, he just seems like a durable because he got hit with some good shots by Moises and never really wobbled, never really got shown any weaknesses. So he kept going, and that's, I think, is going to be the reason why he wins this fight. This is another very, very difficult one, but the only thing I can go off of, because those are two guys on great, decent win streaks, 3-fight win streaks for Frevola, 4-fight win streak for Benoit. The only thing I can go off is the last loss of Matt Frevola's career was against Terrence McKinney at UFC 263 in 7 seconds, right? You get KO'd in 7 seconds. He's had another quick finish loss against Marco Polo. I don't know if that's his name, in 2018 within a minute of the first round. So the only thing I can, take away from this is if there's going to be a finish, it most likely will be Benoit Saint-Denis. And I would have to pick him by early TKO in the first round. I do also see an outcome that Benoit Saint-Denis does exactly that. Doesn't get the finish, gets gassed out a little bit, gets tired, and then Frevola wins the decision. I do see this outcome, but that's not what I'm going to pick. I'm just going to go with my guts, and I'm going to say Benoit Saint-Denis by first round TKO. Yeah. Whew, it's a tough one. This is really, really tough. But I'm going to go with that. Benoit Saint-Denis by first round TKO. Moving on to the women's fight, women's strawweight, Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern. She kind of cute, Mackenzie Dern, man. I didn't know she was kind of cute. I was watching the embedded, like, she shouldn't be fighting, man. Do something else. Mackenzie Dern, bruh. Never been finished. 3 decisions. Jessica Andrade has been on a kind of a, I don't want to say downfall, but 3 fights losing streak. And all this year, honestly, she's just been super, super active. Took fights within months. You know, she fought Aaron Blanchfield a month after Lauren Murphy, which is kind of crazy. And still, you know what I mean, fighting a fifth time this year. So I don't know if that's good or bad. To me, obviously, activity is really great. But at this point, whenever you've had like 3 losses, to me, it's like, all right, let's take some time, figure out what happens. So I do think there's something there. If you look at Mackenzie Dern's record, like I said, she's never been finished. Only lost 3 times, all by decisions. And what makes Jessica Andrade really good is the fact that she's kind of a bulldozer. You know, she's really strong for a 115-pound woman. And she's shown that, you know what I mean? Whether it's not even just the KO power, but it's kind of the way she fights. She kind of manhandles certain fighters in fights, and that's the way she wins. You know what I mean? So you've seen it happen, especially at strawweight, with her power, with her durability, and with her strength. But the thing is, she hasn't shown that same level in the last 3 fights. And Mackenzie Dern, like I said, she's never been KO'd. She's never been submitted. So she's also a tough girl, and she seems like she would be able to deal with that kind of pressure. And technically, Mackenzie Dern just seems more well-rounded, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. Just seems like she has more tools to win this fight. So I'm going to go Mackenzie Dern, obviously, by decision, because it's a woman. No, I shouldn't say that. Mackenzie Dern by decision. That's what I'm going to go with. Let's move on to the co-main event. Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. Great fight. I'm very hyped up for this fight. Now, I'm going to say this. I have a good feeling that this might not be as competitive as most people think it's going to be. A lot of people say, you know, prediction go both ways, or, you know, I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that Pavlovich might just destroy him. Might just like find his way with him. But I know I've seen the way he moves, the way Tom Aspinall's, you know, he has great grappling as well, and he's not like the usual heavyweight, you know what I mean? He moves very well, bouncy on his feet and stuff like that. But Pavlovich just seems like a fucking Russian tank, you know what I mean? So chin seems really, really good. Takedown defense, I'm sure he's been practicing and training because he was the backup for this fight, you know what I mean? So he was supposed to fight either John Jones and Miocic, which, you know, both guys were going to try to take Pavlovich down anyway. So I'm sure he was training. Great takedown defense. And he's from Russia, so all these dudes got always decent grappling. So what I'm seeing is Aspinall trying to strike a little bit in the first few minutes, realizing that Pavlovich hits way harder than he expected, or maybe not that he expected, but just hits really, really hard. Because I know, I've seen him speak, he admits that Pavlovich is like one of the most dangerous fighters, probably the most dangerous fighter in the UFC right now. But I think whenever he feels that power, he might try to shoot, and I see Pavlovich being able to defend those takedowns. You've seen him fight Curtis Blades. Blades didn't really try to shoot on Pavlovich, but you could just see the way he stands. Pavlovich expects it, and he's pretty good with, his reflexes for that as well. So that's the way I see it. I'm going to pick Pavlovich by first round KO in this one. Like I said, it's a tough one. I hope this is a great fight, and I hope Aspinall proves me wrong and he shows something else. But from the way it's, the way it's presented to me, Aspinall's taking this fight on 10 days notice. No, not 10 days notice. That's Volkanovski. I'm tripping. On like 3 weeks notice maybe. And like I said, Pavlovich has been training for this. He knew this. He was the backup and stuff like that, so he's definitely more prepared. Let's move on to the main event. Jiří Procházka versus Alex Pereira. Great fight. Another one. Another banger. I'm very hyped up for this one. And it's also very, very interesting. There's a lot of stuff to discuss because they're two strikers, right? So those are two guys that most likely will strike against each other. You know, I've seen Yuri Procházka say he's going to take him down or like try to choke him out. I don't know if he's actually going to try to do that. You know, Yuri's style is not the takedown style. He might just try to shoot for his leg and get him on the fence. But taking Pereira down is not as easy as it might have been before. You know what I mean? And like we've seen Jan Blachowicz try to take him down. And now he's had experience training with Glover Teixeira for a few years now that I don't think it's just, all right, I'm just going to take Pereira down and it happens. It's not as easy as saying that, you know what I mean? So that's number one. Number two, I just don't think Yuri Procházka wants to be in a grappling exchange and wants to be a grappler. He's not a grappler, he's a striker. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think, like I said, he might mix it up with faking the takedowns, but I don't think he's going to try to really just stand and stand on top of Pereira for 5 rounds. I don't see that happening. So those are two great strikers, but they're two differently, like completely different strikers. You know, I see this fight a little bit like, it reminds me of like the Corey Sandhagen versus Petr Yan fight. But those are two very great strikers, but kind of different style. You know, Petr Yan is more of a bully type. Those are also, I don't see anyone like as Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. Those are two different styles, but I love seeing different styles of strikers going against each other. It's just really entertaining to watch. And Pereira, I said this in the deeper dive, that because of his kickboxing background, he might have the edge in terms of the technical striking, but this is also a thing that I would favor Yuri with, because he has like the unorthodox striking. He has like the weird angles that he throws his strikes, his elbows from. And that's a thing that might favor him in this fight. And that's the reason why I'm picking Yuri Procházka to win this fight. And I'm going to pick him by 2nd round KO. Remember that Dominic Reyes KO that Yuri had? You remember the positioning of this KO? Spinning KO, as Dominic Reyes was like pressuring him up against the fence, trying to bully him up against the fence. And Yuri just spin elbows and KOs him flat unconscious. To me, it's very similar to that Pereira Adesanya KO in that second fight in the UFC, where Pereira tries to find his rhythm, find his strikes on the fence, and then Adesanya just counters with a right. This is kind of a scenario that I see happening. Obviously, I don't think Yuri is going to catch him with like a traditional right hand or something like that. I do see him maybe catching him with a upward elbow or spinning elbow, kind of similar stuff. Maybe some like weird knees, or those types of strike to me might find or catch Alex Pereira off guard, and that's what I think might knock him out. He's shown that, he can get rocked, by Adesanya. He's gotten rocked a few times. Obviously, by Yan, he was good. And 205 pound, I think, is a different animal than 185. I think he should be a little bit more durable. But I do see Yuri cracking him, and I don't know if Pereira can deal with the power the same way Procházka deals with Pereira's power, if that makes sense. I think it might be possible that in the first round, Pereira finds a left hook. He finds a great shot or a great kick, and we see Procházka wobbles a little bit, wobbles back against the fence, but I don't think he's getting knocked out. I don't think he's getting KO'd. I don't think he's getting finished. Procházka has shown that he can get hit. Against Glover, he got hit multiple times. He got rocked multiple times and stayed in that fight. Maybe a little bit because of Glover tried to go for a guillotine when he was rocked. That was stupid, but I do see, Procházka, he got rocked by Dominic Reyes as well with an up kick, but kept fighting. I think it's just his spirit is extremely high. He's a bit younger. Obviously, he's coming off of surgery, so there's going to be questions. But if I had to pick, I would have to go Yuri Procházka just because of that unorthodox striking. So those are my pick. Yuri Procházka by 2nd round KO. Pavlovich by 1st round KO. Mackenzie Dern by decision. Benoit Saint-Denis, I picked him by TKO in the 1st round. This is a tough one. Might be Frevola by decision. But and also the first one I picked Lopes, and I picked Lopes by submission in the 2nd round. So those are my pick. Let me know what your picks are down below. Hopefully it's going to be a great fight, and I'll see you guys after the pay-per-view so we can debunk everything and You can guys hear you can hear my thoughts on what happened. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next.